All right. So moving on to dun dun
My
dun.
favorite.
The 6-2.
Woo-hoo.
Woohoo. So oh, I didn't write no okay, so what is your name here? What are the names? You should know this one.
It is the role model and the hermit,
Hmm.
or in quantum, the adept responder.
The Adept Responder. That sounds nice, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So
it
this is
does.
a line 6. So what we know about the line 6, going to have that triphasic life
Mhm.
in stages. The 6-2 profile can come off somewhat detached, as we know, because there could be that hermitine side of it, but also line 6s are a little bit more detached because they are always looking at that long view. They can see things before others, or they just kind of have a knowing. They say they're somewhat
Mhm.
old souls wise. One thing that's also interesting about the line 6, or the 6-2 in
Mhm.
particular, but a lot of the line 6 is the energy here, is more of a tendency towards perfectionism, as in wanting things to be perfect.
Yep.
Combine that with an 1858, it's no wonder you have a tendency to get things, you want them just right.
Just a little bit.
But that's all right. We need that energy. Uh,
Mhm.
Again, because of the hermitine, the line 2, the natural talents and gifts of the 6-2 needs to be called out from others. And another interesting aspect to the 6th line is they're always on this quest for a soulmate. Some lucky to meet them young, some maybe not so much, which will more likely in the next one we'll talk about the 6-3 might be a little more of a relationship experiencing, or experiencing, I should say.
Mhm.
I know quite a few 6-2s personally. There's a lot of you out there. I know
But we're
I know
supposed to be
3 in
fair.
particular. Of course, one is you, one's my friend Tora, and then I know another one, it's an acquaintance of mine. Um, I know actually, if I go back, I was looking through my list of people I've run charts. And I was like, oh, there's a lot. It's good. We need you guys. But some famous
So,
6-2s,
oh yes, 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 yes.
I think 2 of the most famous, I would say, uh, both Michelle and Barack Obama are 6-2s.
Love them. We've
Barack
talked about that, and
Obama,
I forget it every
hmm
time.
yeah, Barack Obama, 6-2 projector. So let that be a lesson to you, projectors. You do not have to wait till
We
you're
can
after
do it.
50 to do big things. I believe he was, let's see, he was already president. Yeah, he was elected president before he was 50. And so
What
yeah,
was
he answered the call.
when he became president? He's 47. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So different from the age of our two presidents after him.
Yeah, a little bit. Other 6-2s, Charles Dickens was a 6-2, Elton John,
All right. Okay.
Mahatma Gandhi, may have heard of him,
All right, Mahat.
and Jamie Lee Curtis, which I wanted to include her in there. You know who she is?
Yes.
Actress? Yes.
I just gotta. A lot of times I think I have the right person. Okay, yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay.
I got the right
Well, I
person in
thought
my
it
head.
was Well, I thought it was really interesting to look at her because she is in this off the roof phase now. I mean, obviously, the people here that are still alive are off the roof because they're all over the age of 50. But Jamie Lee Curtis has certainly gone through lots of different changes in her life and the way she's her acting and everything else. But now she's totally known for being like this awesome example of a like fully authentic,
Mhm.
realized woman and like unapologetically herself, and she's awesome. And that's what the
Yeah.
6-2 role model, well, that's what the line 6, the role model, is here to do, is to live this journey through life so that ultimately they are the role model to the rest of us of what it means to live authentically as yourself, whatever that looks like. So the 6-2 is looking at that big picture of life, but they're also hermiting, being alone helps
Mhm.
them again tap into their innate gifts and talents. The more time they're able to spend alone can kind of, and this is where they can be seen as kind of reclusive and detached, is because they're not going to be the center of attention ever. They're not going to be demanding the attention. These are the observers, like to sit
Mhm.
back, see what everybody else is doing. And even though in the early first part of the life of a line 6 up until 30, they are kind of living life like a line 3, meaning there will be more trial and error in like jobs, relationships, where they live, trying different things on. How many times you moved?
I think it's like 8.
Yeah. And those weren't all your choices, but you're like, sure, why not? Let's try it. And you're talking about moving again. So it's just like, we'll see what happens. You may have
Yeah.
found your soulmate earlier, but you guys are still young and
Well, what was his? He's a 1-3, right?
yeah, he's a 1-3, so he's a line 3. So he's
So
up
he's
for
also, yeah.
a little trial and error. Let's see what works. See what works.
Mhm.
And that's what you're supposed to do in those first 30 years of the life, is it that actually feeds your soul of just trying it, because again, ultimately you're going to use all that information of that lived experience later in life to step into that role model status. So then with the next phase for a line 6 in life is between 30 and 50, where they say they go up on the roof, which means not so much experimenting anymore. It's kind of a, okay, let's let the line 6 come forward more and live from a more observational approach. That's why they call it being up
Mhm.
on the roof, of someone who's just observing life and seeing how others do it. But this
I
is
feel like
also
it's like a plateau. You
Mhm.
just kind of chilling.
Well, it's like they start building a life, really. And
Mhm.
if they have not found their soulmate partner, this might be a time when a line 6 is really spending that time looking for someone and hopefully finding them and building a life, family, jobs. I mean, like I said, look at Barack Obama, Michelle Obama. I think I think they were both after their 30s when they met, because they, or did they meet in college? I can't remember.
I
But
think they met in college.
yeah.
I feel like
But then they certainly really, I mean, he didn't go like you can now. Apparently, you can just say, I want to run for president. And you're like, oh, you want to be president? Okay. Which I'm just going to say the founding fathers never said you had to hold office to be president, because
Nope.
really none of them ever had. So, because there wasn't an office.
It
But
was a different time then.
much different, much smaller
Yeah.
country then.
Oh, much,
And
much, much.
okay, anywho's, all right. So they're gathering information about life more from a distance, and they're observing other people, see how they do life. They're just seeing how life is done, really, and they're just gaining wisdom as they go. And then after 50, after they're around the time of their Chiron return, is when they come down off the roof. Sometimes they get pushed off the roof. You might have to, especially a 6 too, because they want to just kind of stay up there where it's nice and quiet and calm. And they don't really want to draw that attention or anything. But there will come a time where what you have learned as a 6-2 becomes important to the rest of us, and you're here to share that with the rest of us, of
Mhm.
what it means to be authentically you, so that the rest of us can also be brave enough to live as ourselves, because it's becoming more and more and more important, um the importance of being an individual. And it's so funny because society for so long has said it's been so dangerous to have an individual perspective. Like, you can't do that. You have to do what the tribe does. You have to do what the collective
Mhm.
says, because it's dangerous to have all these ideas out there. And it's interesting how it's shifting, because this is literally what we're going through right now in the whole world, is that we're seeing how important each individual is, and it's not
Mhm.
a threat to the rest of us, because if we can see the value in every single individual, each one of us, and what we have to contribute, that only benefits the whole. It doesn't take anything
Yeah.
away, because I think it makes us all stronger, because we're, and this is where I think female leadership comes into is a little bit more. So we've always lived from this hierarchical perspective of top down,
Mhm.
but we're moving towards more the synarchy, the sense of all of us being
Mhm.
able to know what's important and to value each other, and that puts us all on the same level playing field. But it's no wonder what we're going through right now is this huge um uh upheaval, not just in our country but a lot of the world, because right now also the planets where they're at is a huge amount of and then the big outer planets too, not just the inner planets, are in these gates of individual circuitry. Like I think right now,
Mm.
if you were to look at the transits for like today, like pretty much all the planets are moving through this individual circuitry, which is why there's such a push of like people wanting to have their voice heard, and there's a pushback from the tribe of like, no, that's dangerous, so you can't do that, you have to just say what we
Mhm.
say, do what we do. Anyways, that was a sidebar there. Because the 6-2s, the line sixes and the 6-2s in particular, no, sorry, I don't want to say in particular, the 6-2s and all line sixes are here to give us all that strength and that courage to be ourselves, to be like, hey, it's okay, this is how you do it, you just do it, because you've seen it all, you've watched it all, you've learned from it, and you're always looking forward. As a 6-2, we know what you know where humanity needs to go in general. I mean, I
Mhm.
would say so. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like you can solve world peace today, but you have a feeling, we got to do better, right?
Yeah.
So one thing I find with 6-2s that is particularly challenging, I think you have spoken to this before, is feeling, and this is very much line 6 energy, feeling that you have a mission in life. Like line 6s feel like they have a mission and they have to fulfill it, and they feel like they have to figure it out now. And you're running out of time. I've got to get there, something, because I know you've
Mhm.
talked to me before about I just don't know what I'm doing sometimes. Like I feel like I should be doing something more, but I don't know what that is. And that is like
100%.
100% 6-2 energy at your age in life, because you're still figuring it out. And like I said, with that too, you don't know. You are going to have to kind of spend time in your own process, and other people will recognize some of those strengths in you, what you're talented at, where your genius lies. I definitely know that we've had that conversation many times, and I have had to point out to you, also being a projector, what I see and what I think you're good
Mhm.
at. And
I rely on that a lot because I'm like, I don't have anything I can provide to people.
aw, stop it now.
But no, like that's honestly how I feel a lot of the times. I feel like I
Hmm.
don't have like I can't see in myself what kind of potential or skills I have.
Yeah, but and I think a lot of times it is really I'm thinking of like how I've seen it in other people express that are older than you. It is really this certain way of being able to do things or pick up on things or learn things are just so much I don't want to say easier, but it is this innate quality that like the 6-2 thinks that everybody can do what they do, whatever it is, or however it is they're interested in, because it feels so natural to them. That's why it's hard for you to recognize that a lot of times, because you don't necessarily, I mean, would I put my finger on it right now? I wouldn't be able to necessarily put my finger on it, but I see certain things in you, like obviously know you've got a beautiful eye, creative eye. You do. You've never seen yourself that creative, but as you've gotten older, I hope you start to see that, recognize it, that you're visually a very creative person. The things I've seen
Hmm.
you produce, you like doing things, making things pretty, making
Hmm.
things neat. You're great at photography. There's all these things that are emerging the more that you live life, so
Hmm.
just relax. You got a job. You got a job. You got a soulmate. It's like, hey, man, you got a couple years here to mess around, and you can happily go up on the roof and What are you gonna do from there? You'll figure it out. But it is hard. I've heard it a lot. Line sixes having that pressure of feeling like they should be doing more.
Mhm.
I see it all the time. But just be yourself, man. Just be yourself, man.
I do try to be myself. A lot of
Yeah.
times I
You
am like, what
do.
you see is what you get.
Most of the time. I mean, I mean, I really 100% admire that about you because you do feel comfortable in that way. Not like that you shouldn't, but very rare thing for a girl your age, a woman your age. You are married now. To feel so and it may not be that you always feel confident in that, but you're not
Oh
going to
no.
change it. Yeah, you're like I got to be me, like I can't be someone else, you know?
Mm, yeah.
And that is very powerful energy to people around you and will only grow as you get older. Because I don't know if you notice that, but it really does give people permission to be more themselves the more you can be yourself because they're like, oh man, look at her. She's doing it. I think it's admirable. Appreciate it.
Oh.
Oh, see? Oh, another thing with line six, trust is very, very important. Trust. Did I say that right? I
There's a little bit
realized
of an H there.
I did. I think it's trust. Yes. Trust is very important in relationships.
Mhm.
So that's just a side note. But I think trust is important in a relationship. But
It's a good thing
that's
to
where
have.
that I think that's where that perfection kind of thing comes in with the line two profile or line six profile is because again they're looking for in the relationships for that soulmate, so they think there's this perfect person for them and they're willing to wait for it, they'll find it, but so they might not um they might pass people by sometimes because it might not be just the right combination of things, but just you don't have to worry about but maybe someone out there listening.
Mhm.
Okay, so basically, six twos, don't spend too much time alone. You do need time alone, but also the world needs you too. So you're gonna have to come out now and then and
Gotta come out of the shell.
share what you know. Alrighty. Okay.